it's just double vision constantly. And it's a little bit grey as well. So I've got like a grey eyesight from there onwards and double vision.
Tom Aspinall is not cleared to fight still. He is not cleared to train still, which is something, yes, that a commission can enforce. Comes with your privileged license.
The sudden revelation of Tom Aspinall's latest injury update has absolutely ignited a firestorm of conversation across the MMA world, with analysts everywhere now scrambling to dissect his reports. And here's the absolute core of the issue, the part that has everyone so concerned. Despite Tom saying he feels much better overall after that incredibly brutal eye poke, he is still grappling with a seriously alarming problem, double vision. Now let me be clear. This isn't just some minor inconvenience for a professional fighter. For a guy who gets paid to trade punches with the baddest men on the planet, seeing 2 targets instead of 1 is an absolute nightmare scenario. To get to the bottom of it, Tom went to see an optometrist who really broke down the entire context of his double vision, revealing that this condition commonly happens after an eye poke, specifically because of the severe damage it inflicts on the eye's incredibly delicate muscles.
Eye movement tests have shown that there is a reduction in the ability for the muscles of your eyes to move up. So essentially your eyeball has muscles on the outside and it works like a pulley system. So when one muscle relaxes and one muscle pulls, your eyes move across to your left and then right. If there's damage to these eye muscles, even one small muscle, which are very small, then you can get one eye moving up and the other eye doesn't follow. And if they're not tracking absolutely perfectly, then you get one image coming from one eye and one image coming from a slightly different perspective. And that's what you're getting. You're getting one image here and one image here.
While working to make Tom fully aware of the sheer gravity of his situation, his eye specialist laid out absolutely everything for him, holding nothing back. The doctor's advice was as blunt and non-negotiable as it gets. He stated in no uncertain terms that Tom has to wait a significant amount of time before he can even think about fighting again, at the very least until his double vision is completely and totally gone, because you simply cannot step into a cage to compete with that kind of debilitating sight problem. The specialist strongly, and I mean strongly, encouraged Tom to prioritize his long-term health and his future well-being over the temptation of a quick return to the octagon. At the same time, though, the doctor also made a real effort to give him some positivity, some glimmer of hope, so that the immense weight of this devastating news wouldn't leave Tom feeling completely disappointed and demoralized about his future.
Train properly, spar.
It's a long road ahead, but the prognosis is guarded at the moment. I would recommend that you wouldn't fight until your double vision's resolved for 2 reasons. One, it could potentially make things worse and set you back even further, or that you're training because you're still having double vision looking into the periphery, you wouldn't be at your peak. So that's the main reason. I'm sorry that this has happened, and it's not nice. It's not nice to be in this position with lots of probably pressure coming from inside you, because I know you want to fight.
First and foremost, as soon as this update on Tom's injury went public, you saw Chael Sonnen immediately jump into damage control mode. He tried to compensate for the incredibly harsh words that both he and Anthony Smith had said right after the injury first occurred, going on record to publicly claim that what they had said wasn't personal in the slightest. He elaborated on this, saying that he actually really admires Tom and his father because he knows them personally, trying to paint it as just tough, analytical commentary. Now contrast that move with the response from Cyril Gane, who revealed that if, and only if, Tom takes the criticism personally, then maybe he can offer an apology. This was a far more conditional and, frankly, less sincere approach to the entire situation, putting the onus on Tom to be offended before any apology would even be considered.
I like Tom. I like Tom a lot. I like Tom's father. This is on a human level. I don't know Cyril. He could be a perfectly nice guy. I know that Cyril as our champion, as a company, is a problem. And anything that could force us to see John Jones versus Cyril again is a really big problem. At any rate, to just speak about this event, I remember right when it was done. I remember telling you guys, I'm mad. I feel shorted. as a fan. I know what I went through to be here.
Looking back at the infamous eye poke scene from the fight, Chael Sonnen wasn't done talking. And when he addressed the issue again, he was not holding back one bit. He's on the record saying that these kinds of eye pokes just do not seem unintended to him at all. In his expert view, when something like this happens in a fight, the opponent almost always does it intentionally, not as some impulsive accident in the heat of the moment. And when it comes to Tom's specific situation, Chael pointed out a crucial detail that many people overlooked. Tom didn't just get hit with an eye poke once, but a staggering 3 separate times during the fight, which in his eyes cast some incredibly serious doubt on his opponent's true intentions.
It sounds like Tom was very legitimately hurt, without question. Some of you real tucker, you decide that even when legitimately hurt that you would have finished a fight. You go ahead, you do your thing. Do your thing. Sure you would. But if he was hurt, why wasn't it a disqualification? Why would we decide it's an accident? Why would we decide that it's unintentional? Why do we always decide it's an accident? Why do we always decide it's unintentional?
And it's absolutely critical to remember, it's not like Tom was just poked once and had a big reaction. Rushing to defend Tom and his critical remarks aimed at Cyril Gane, the legendary Michael Bisping jumped right into the conversation, forcefully pointing out that Tom has been going through a severely tough and unbelievably frustrating time. Bisping tried to justify Tom's harsh arguments by framing it all from a fighter's perspective. He claimed that it was so painfully clear how incredibly hard Tom had been preparing for this specific matchup, only for all of that work, all of that sacrifice, to end in a flash because of an illegal eye poke. So for Bisping, a fighter talking some trash about their opponent in that kind of situation is completely normal and even expected, especially for a person who just saw months and months of grueling, soul-crushing preparation result in absolutely nothing.
Now, obviously, Tom's the one living through this. Tom's the one that's getting absolutely slaughtered online. And Tom's the one 6 weeks later still having to go to the doctor and still can't train and do any kind of combat. So he's the man that's living with this, okay? So you understand you kind of will get emotional. You will be, and you will think that Cyril Gane was doing that on purpose. I still don't, okay? I don't think Cyril Gane did that on purpose. What you want to do is crack someone in the face. And when the hands are out, when you go to grab, if someone comes in to take you down or whatever, sometimes that happens. That's why this whole rule of the fingers being up, not allowed there, but they're allowed.
Now, let's talk about that ridiculous trend of people digging through fan comments just to find ammunition to make fun of Tom. One commentator got so fed up that he absolutely blasted those people, declaring that everyone should just stop trolling him immediately. He made it crystal clear that these aren't just random fans with opinions, these are Tom's dedicated haters, people who are actively trying to make an already tough and painful situation even worse for him. He really tried his best to deliver a powerful shut-up call to those people, powerfully claiming that he had also been through the very same kind of difficult phase in his own career, so he could genuinely and deeply understand Tom's difficult situation. He's also trying to channel that positive energy toward Tom himself, advising him that he should do his absolute best to ignore all of those hateful, worthless, and completely irrelevant comments.
It's said than done, and it's easy to get a thicker skin like I have over the years when you've been in the spotlight for 20 years. Tom's still relatively new to this, and 1 minute is the belle of the ball, the next minute everyone online is talking. Okay, and that's a hard thing to deal with. You got to remember, yeah, he's a big gigantic dude and he's the heavyweight champion of the world, but deep down inside he's still only a human being, and it seems like the entire fan base has turned their back on him and they're talking crap. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't feel good. Like there's one right here. Tom is the most overrated fighter in UFC history.
Giving some closing remarks on the entire whirlwind discussion, Michael Bisping offered some priceless veteran advice, saying that Tom should absolutely not, under any circumstances, rush to fight and make a premature comeback. It's the worst thing he could possibly do. Instead, he explained that at this incredibly sensitive stage of his recovery, Tom needs to listen intently to his doctors and follow their medical advice to the absolute letter without deviation. He then added a hugely positive note, saying that Tom should be looking forward to his career's peak because he genuinely believes that soon Tom will be all right and back to his normal life, dominating the division. But, and this is the crucial part, to get there, he absolutely must be patient and incredibly persistent through this difficult and frustrating healing process.
Granted, I don't think it's that serious, although the fact that 6 weeks later he's still not cleared for competition, that is alarming. First thing he's got to do is listen to the doctors. Do not rush anything. The man's still young. He's in his prime. He's not on borrowed time. He's still got years ahead of him. Listen to the doctors. Come back, whoop some ass, take the gloves off. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Tell everyone to go themselves, knock some people out, and this whole escapade will be behind him. Doing interviews and showing the receipts and showing the doctor's appointments and all the rest of it, I don't think that's the way forward. I really don't. But anyway.
While listening to Tom Aspinall's video, where he was explaining everything that happened after the eye poke, the analyst, known as the anime guru, had something pretty direct to say. He stated that since Tom has now come forward and claimed his eye poke injury was very real, backed up by medical evidence, all the people who were relentlessly making fun of him should step up, show some integrity, and apologize to him. He went on to say that anyone out there who thinks Tom's medical reports are somehow fake or fabricated probably just takes the sport of MMA in a very casual, uniformed manner and doesn't understand what these athletes go through. He really drove the point home by saying that this is the heavyweight championship of the world we're talking about here. So everyone should really mind their words and show some respect when they're talking about these elite, world-class fights.
Confirmed clinical findings by eye doctors in hospitals. Everybody's still out there maybe saying, this is fake, this is such... We ain't accepting apologies, dude. You're on that side, you're on that side. You want to be one of them, you're on one of them. Okay? I still see people on Twitter saying, this is ChatGPT. This ain't ChatGPT, dude. What do you think this is? He's cooking up a fake little thing to type down, fake doctor's notes to put up on his Instagram. This is the heavyweight champ we're talking about here, dude. This is Tom Aspinall.
However, things took a really strange and frankly bizarre turn when the guru started to break down Tom's confirmed clinical findings in what can only be described as a ridiculously sarcastic and dismissive way. He sarcastically announced to his audience that Tom has been diagnosed with a condition called bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome, saying the name as if it were a joke. Then, he immediately started questioning it, pretending to be confused and suspecting that this trauma is somehow being linked to cognitive diseases, even though Tom's primary and clearly stated concerns are with a physical eye injury. He acted completely surprised, asking his viewers how an eye injury could possibly be linked to cognitive diseases, a performance that was clearly designed to make the official diagnosis sound doubtful, overly complicated, and incredibly hard for the average person to believe.
Tom Aspinall was poked, and Cyril Gahn put his fingers in Tom Aspinall's eyes, and Tom Aspinall got Brown syndrome from it. I don't know if this is a symptom of Brown syndrome on Tom Aspinall. Maybe this is late stage, and there's still a chance. But bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. He's got Brown syndrome. It could have been a different one that sounds similar. Different type of syndrome. We dodged that one for now. He always looked a bit like Shane Gillis. Bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome, indicating disruption of the superior oblique tendon trochlear mechanism.
After the possibility was raised that Tom might actually need surgery to fix the damage, the guru appealed that it shouldn't have to come to that. He argued that if Tom really needs a major operation on his eye, then it will become far less possible for him to ever make a successful comeback to the sport he loves. He also coined a new, derogatory term for Tom's injury, calling it a Bispingers, which is an obvious and disrespectful reference to Michael Bisping, who also suffered a career-altering eye poke. He then made a sweeping claim that it seems like all the UK guys are supposed to get an eye poke. So, on one side, you have the guru pretending to be worried about Tom's future and his career, but on the other hand, he's actively and publicly making fun of him and the seriousness of his injury.
No surgery, please. That sounds dreadful. That sounds like a lot of time off. That sounds like permanently worrying about it moving forward. Maybe it could go wrong, the surgery, and if it goes wrong with the eyeball, it could really go wrong. Dude, is it the Bisping curse of UK UFC fighters? Arnold Allen's got to watch out. You know? Pimlet's fighting for a title against Gaethje. Pack your goggles, okay? Big time. Yeah, there might be a curse going round. I really do worry.
In a very similar vein to the Guru, another analyst, Wade Plemons, also broke down the medical findings, but he did so with a much more serious and respectful tone. He claimed that if these medical findings are confirmed to be 100% accurate, then Tom's career is truly at the brink of a very, very dangerous stage. From his professional perspective, he thinks Tom should not even consider continuing to fight for quite some time, because the reports seem to indicate that both of his eyes are hurt, and for any fighter, being able to clearly watch and track an opponent's every single move, every feint, every jab, every kick is an absolutely essential and non-negotiable part of the game.
And the reason I think this is a big deal, number one, if Tom can't move his eyes from left to right, up and down freely and see everything coming his way, he can't fight. Now, again, this is a bad thing if it's as bad as we're saying in the video here when it says traumatic Brown syndrome, indicating disruption of the superior oblique tendon trochlear mechanism. That's not the end of this. That's not the end of the road when it comes to how bad this could potentially be. But if you can't use your eyes without turning your head to see things, like if your eyes are stuck in a very limited space, think about like tendonitis of the eye muscle.
While responding directly to all of those people who were trolling Tom online and constantly comparing his eye poke to Michael Bisping's, Plemons made it absolutely clear to them that they were missing the point entirely. He explained that Bisping's eye poke, while horrific, was not nearly this serious in one key way, which is precisely why he was able to somehow continue competing with his one injured eye. But in Tom's case, the situation is completely and fundamentally different. Both of his eyes are hurt, and he has very serious, specific concerns like double vision. Because of that, he should not be focusing on public trolling or online drama at all. Instead, he needs to take a significant gap away from all combat sports to properly and fully heal.
And not being able to move them, that's GG's on your career, because one thing you need, as much as you need anything else in MMA, to fight is your eyes. You can't see punches coming. You can't see where your opponent is. You can't see out of the peripheral vision of your eye for strikes coming behind other strikes. This is a problem. And for the people that are going to say, oh, well, Mike Bisping fought with one eye, Tom should be able to do the same. Well, okay, yeah. First off, Mike Bisping shouldn't have been fighting with one eye. But secondly, this is bilateral traumatic Brown syndrome. So it's not just the bad right eye that Tom Aspinall was talking about. Apparently, he's got it in both eyes. Both eyes having a hard time moving around in his skull.
After breaking down Tom's video message to his fans, Wade said that he finds it absolutely awful that Tom is even in a position where he feels he has to explain his eye poke scenario to the fans, and, even more unbelievably, to Dana White, who some people believe might think Tom should just suck it up and continue fighting with one eye. He added that he believes there are very high chances the UFC could treat Tom harshly moving forward, especially since some of Tom's partners and teammates have said some pretty rude things about the UFC as well. This entire situation just makes things so much more complicated for Tom himself, because this kind of friction between a fighter and the promotion could potentially lead his entire career towards a dead end.
The fact that Tom has to explain this to people that are either online or, in this case, Dana White, is insane. Dana White pulling the Tom's not tough enough card is ridiculous to me. Oh, well, he just didn't want to fight. No, it's not that he didn't want to fight. It's that if he chooses to fight without having any vision, he will not only surely lose, but also may impair his health even further. And like Dana said, who gives? They'll just move on, put the belt on Ciryl Gane, probably blackball Tom based on the stuff that Tom's dad said, based on the fact that Tom doesn't want to fight a certain heavyweight, and based on the relationship they have, and because the UFC runs the whole thing, they can kind of do that.
While giving his personal opinion on Tom's challenging situation, an analyst named Emma Joey openly mocked Tom's way of posting videos while wearing sunglasses, suggesting it was all for show. After hearing Tom's harsh words directed at Dana White, he immediately claimed that this kind of outspokenness could easily lead Tom's career towards a very destructive and sudden turn. He added that as a direct consequence of speaking out against the boss, Tom could very well be denied another chance to fight for the undisputed heavyweight title, a type of punishment that the UFC is notoriously known for handing out to fighters who step out of line.
With sunglasses on a cloudy day, saying he has no idea when he might fight again, and also trashing Dana White a little bit. And I do believe that all this is heading down one road, and that is the road of Tom Aspinall being stripped of the UFC Undisputed Heavyweight title. And I don't really see it going down any other way. I'm not going to guarantee it because we'll have to see how it goes, but I'm really starting to think that Tom Aspinall is going to end up stripped of the heavyweight title, and we'll probably end up with a Salsa Boy versus Cyril Gane for the Undisputed Heavyweight title in 2026, which would be absolutely insane.
After hearing the detailed narrative from Tom's doctors about his condition, Joey showed his profound skepticism, saying that it sounds incredibly weird and suspicious that Tom is supposedly left with only low vision. From his tone and his words, it really seems like Joey did not believe a single word of the diagnosis or the prognosis. He also openly mocked the people who were actually trusting Tom and showing him support at this point, suggesting that he thinks the situation is not nearly as difficult or as severe as it's being made out to be, and that perhaps people are just exaggerating it for dramatic effect or to create a compelling story.
These eyes are damaged so badly that they are hurt 6 weeks later. Apparently he's legally blind now. That's the narrative they're going with. That is in the doctor's report, that he has like 8% and 21% vision, something along those lines, which is absolutely insane. These are the eyes. These are the damaged eyes. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I really can't believe there's...
Finally, Joey didn't hold back and really insulted Tom's entire team. He made the bold claim that his team partners and cornermen are not doing what's best for him right now, and are in fact hurting his career. He argued that since this is the heavyweight championship level, the absolute pinnacle of the sport, his friends and mates should be laser-focused on keeping his spirit high instead of allowing him to look miserable, defensive, and weak in front of the public. He also thinks that Tom desperately needs to learn to be a bit more patient and far more strategic in how he handles his public image if he truly wants to stay relevant and succeed in the ruthless world of the UFC.
And I'll say this right now, Tom Aspinall has the worst team he could ever imagine. They keep making him look worse over and over and over again when he should have just shut up and said, look, I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to get my get back. I'm going to get my rematch. Instead, he's crying. Gane's such a dirty cheater. Let me show you a compilation of him cheating over the course of 6 years. And crying about eye pokes when you quit in a heavyweight title fight while you're defending the heavyweight title that you never even earned. But these are his eyes within 12 hours of him being eye poked, and now we're 6 weeks later, and magically he has all these. But we'll get to that in a second.
In the end, the entire MMA world is left on the edge of its seat, wondering what's next for Tom Aspinall. Ever since his first video explaining the injury leaked, analysts have been talking non-stop about his critical health concerns. A lot of these analysts seem to think that Tom is just pretending to be sick and is actually faking the severity of his eye poke, while many others are saying that Tom is just wildly exaggerating his injury concerns. It's become clear that these are often the haters of Tom, the ones who favor rival fighters like Cyril Gane or John Jones. But on the other side of the debate, there are some other analysts who truly understand his condition and can even justify his immense frustration and exhaustion. However, the case is not as simple as people are considering it, because Tom has apparently been found to have Brown syndrome, which is a really serious medical concern for both his long-term health and his fighting career. Now the whole community is waiting with bated breath, curious about the next steps for both Tom and the UFC, and wondering whether Tom's promising career is going to end here, or if he will get another chance to climb the mountain after he recovers.